Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Claire McCormack.
A few rain showers this Halloween means you may see some wet werewolves, witches, and wizards. Today has a haunting high of 8 that will stay the same throughout the day and into Thursday, which will have showers and a steady temperature of 8. Friday will have a chance of showers, a high of 6 and a low of 3 in the evening. Saturday will be cloudy with a high of 7 and a low of 2. You can expect to see some sunshine on Sunday, which will have a high of 5, later dropping below 0 down to -2. That's it for today's forecast. Whether you're dishing out candy, trick-or-treating, or watching spooky movies, have a freakishly fun Halloween. I'm Claire McCormack. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Claire. Turning now to national and international news. America's Atlantic coast is still picking up the pieces in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Monday's heavy rain and high winds led to the death of at least 55 people. At the height of the storm, more than 8 million people lost power. It is still out for over 300,000 people in Manhattan and Brooklyn and 2.1 million homes and businesses in New Jersey. About 12,000 National Guard members are helping relief efforts. New York's subway remains closed, as does LaGuardia Airport. John F. Kennedy and Newark International Airport reopened this morning, and the New York Stock Exchange is back to business.
Election Day in the States is less than a week away. While President Barack Obama will resume campaigning tomorrow, he's in New Jersey today to meet with the governor, Chris Christie, and examine damage from Hurricane Sandy. Obama was recently praised for his response to the disaster by Christie, who is a Republican and Romney supporter.
And if the President of the United States does a good job, I will praise him. And if he does a bad job, I will criticize him. But he has done a good job in the last few days for New Jersey, and so he deserves and has earned my praise, and he'll get it regardless of what the calendar says, because this is much more important than politics. This is the lives of the people of my state, the place where I was born and raised.
Mitt Romney is on the campaign trail today with 3 rallies planned in Florida. Florida is the largest swing state and will be an important win in a tight election.
Figures released today show the Eurozone in an all-time unemployment high. The 17 countries in the Eurozone saw 11.6% unemployment in September. That amounts to almost 18.5 million people out of work. Economists are warning unemployment rates may increase further in the coming months and could scare off investors. The high figure is attributed to European governments struggling to control a 3-year debt crisis. Spain, Greece, Italy, Portugal, and Cyprus are already in a recession, and other Eurozone countries could be joining them soon.
A government think tank is recommending China phase out its controversial one-child policy. Chinese state media say the report advises a change to the rules and families should be allowed 2 children by 2015. The report also says all birth limits should be removed by 2020. China's president said last year the country would keep the birth rate low by maintaining the strict rule. Even with reports of forced abortions and sterilizations, the government says the one-child policy has helped lift families from poverty and prevented millions of births since its introduction in 1978.
Afghanistan's election commission announced the country will hold its presidential election in April 2014. Elections are seen as crucial to Afghanistan's national stability, as a majority of U.S. and international troops will withdraw from the country by the 2014 election date. There were fears that Afghan President Hamid Karzai would attempt to delay elections or seek a 3rd term. But Karzai has announced he will be stepping down at the end of his term as required by the Afghan constitution.
Canada's immigration levels have been frozen for the 7th year in a row. Though the numbers haven't changed, Immigration Minister Jason Kenney emphasized expanding the percentage of immigrants accepted under the Experience class stream. The 2012 limit of 7,500 will be raised to 10,000. Immigration Canada defines Experience class as those who speak one of Canada's official languages and have studied and graduated in Canada or had a minimum of 1 year workplace experience.
And now with your sports news, here's Katie Fraser.
The Humber Hawks men's and women's basketball teams went up against the Fanshawe Falcons last night to start off the season. The men fell behind early on but worked their way back, sending the game into double overtime. The men lost to Fanshawe 97-94. And the women's team didn't have much luck either against the Falcons. Although they were tied at halftime, the Falcons came back swinging and won the game 80-54. Both teams hope to come back this weekend as both men's and women's play the Mohawk Mountaineers on Saturday. And in NBA basketball, the regular season kicked off last night with 3 big games. Despite the team debuts of Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, the LA Lakers were upset 99-91 against the Dallas Mavericks. Howard said because of players' injuries, the team hasn't played much together and needs more practice. The Lakers need a lot more work than expected if they want to take on the NBA's best. And speaking of the Miami Heat, they held off the Boston Celtics 120-107 last night, right after receiving their championship rings. Dwayne Wade scored 29 points and LeBron James nabbed 26 points and 10 rebounds before missing much of the second half due to leg cramps. And finally, the Cleveland Cavaliers took the Washington Wizards 94-84 last night. And the Raptors start their season tonight when they host the Indiana Pacers. There's optimism surrounding the team this year with 3 potential starters to the roster: point guard Kyle Lowry, center Jonas Valanciunas, and wingman Landry Fields. Looking now at the NHL, the locked-out players may be missing the game, but they aren't missing their paychecks. An NHLPA spokesperson says the players received their first escrow payment of less than 8% of what they made last year plus interest. That means about $80,000 US for every million a player earned before deductions last year. And Toronto Maple Leaf star forward Joffrey Lupul is getting back into the game because he just signed with the KHL. Lupul will join the KHL team Avtomobilist in Russia. And Sidney Crosby may not be so lucky on a European team unless he's ready to pay for it. The Pittsburgh Penguins captain's insurance premium would be about $400,000 a month because of his high salary and many head injuries. And with the tennis season wrapping up, the ATP has announced that Novak Djokovic has maintained his #1 ranking in men's tennis. Despite a less than savory season compared to 2011, Djokovic managed to hold up against his major competitor, Roger Federer. And Canadian favorite Milos Raonic came up 13th in the ranking, a new best for the 21-year-old. That's all for your sports news. Now back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Katie. After the break, we'll get the latest in entertainment from Jeanette Liu.
You might want to charge up your lightsabers because Star Wars is back on the big screen, and the Giller Prize goes to, well, you'll just have to wait and see because we've got all that and more after the break.